You should be barricaded in your house and kept off of the street, or sterilized, lobotomized, left in a car in heat. Cause the things you say and do tell me your brain cells are with you, and that is why I hate you.
Oh man, you see wow, it just went out of my head.
I just saw it leave your eyes. Like
I had something all geared up and I was like, oh, we should talk about this. And then it immediately just evacuated my brain. And now I don't know what it was. What happened recently in the news? Oh, the affirmative action
what?
thing.
No.
Did you see this?
No.
You don't follow the news because you're smart. You're just like, I don't need to hear anything. The Supreme Court struck down affirmative action and basically said that upper level higher education schools like the Ivy League schools are no longer allowed to use race as a means of admission. I actually listened to a really good debate last night on it because one of my favorite dudes in the world, John McWhorter, who I've talked about on this podcast before, he's the linguist guy that did the woke racism book. He did a debate with another dude, but they basically said, yeah, you can't use race as part of your admissions process anymore, which is like, he made a good argument against it because it's weird. John McWhorter is this guy who like seems not conservative necessarily, but often argues kind of conservative positions, but he's very smart and intelligent and does it very well. And I've talked about before how much I hate the fact that it's so hard to find coherent and reasonable conservative opinions from people. Like usually when I try, it just evolves into garbage like every time.
Well, I do feel like conservatism usually errs on the side of stability. Usually. But they just don't have any stable people who are willing to explain it.
Yeah,
but I also feel like, I'm sorry, go on.
I guess that's true. I don't know that he's even really conservative. He is black, and he argues, with his woke racism book, he was arguing against a lot of the wokeness with racism because it's condescending, and I mean, it's way more than that, but he argues against it as a black man, like, and thinks like you're being condescending to me. And his argument was that it should be based on class now, not race anymore. And he basically summed up his own whole argument by saying, hey, look, if you base it on class or socioeconomic status, like people who are poor just in general, you're going to inherently address poor black folks in this country.
I mean,
which is disproportionate, right?
In a simplistic way, yeah, that makes sense. I can agree to a certain extent because I mean the way racism works in America is very closely based on classism. It was all born from classism.
Sure,
and to do that would settle the problem, but then you're just back to the initial problem of classism. They're going to find a way to discriminate people backwards.
Right.
And with affirmative action, which I think is a double-edged sword in most situations, I feel that it depends on the institution if affirmative action should be active or not. Ivy League schools and shit, affirmative action should be active.
Yeah.
Because schools... I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I just in general don't like the idea of the government saying you can't do something, period.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the idea of the government in general saying, hey, private Ivy League school, you are not allowed to do this. And he made a good point. They'll find back channel ways to do it because he had talked about he had spent time at, I think, Columbia or Berkeley. It was University of California, I think. And they did away with the programs, and they found basically ways to just kind of get around the bans on the programs anyway. They found other ways to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, it's just,
I feel like private owned companies like Ivy League schools and shit ultimately should be forced to do that because in the end it's always going to go by the bias of the CEO or whoever controls the thing or the rich people's club among them, and so they should be forced to do it. But in like for service jobs, like for firefighters or police or something like that, I feel like affirmative action shouldn't be
It's funny.
the thing, because it should go by who's more qualified for it and who's more stable, not, hey, we have a bunch of these white dudes, let's just use them for example because they're the easiest one, a bunch of these
Yeah.
white dudes who are qualified, but we have a bunch of these people of color that they got a C. Not saying that that's what people of color would only get,
No, I know.
but
You
I'm
mean.
saying
Of
like
course.
you would take those people who are willing to who are less stable in that type of field to over people who are qualified, and then you're creating more division among the people because
Right.
now those white people who got snubbed for somebody who didn't work as hard as them are going, well, fuck them. They just get with blacks or whatever. They get whatever they want. Like, okay, so now we have more enemies. Great. Like,
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's funny you mentioned that because the other gentleman that was on the other side of the debate arguing for it, and I forgive me, I forget his name, Harry. That doesn't matter. I don't know the full name. Specifically mentioned that in the Supreme Court's decision, there's actually a section that specifically omits military academy, so West Point and the Naval Academy, from being part of that,
still.
meaning they're allowed to still do affirmative action, which is
Oh my
kind of
God.
silly. It's like, okay, well, what's that? I don't know. Who knows what the reasoning is? It's just funny that you bring it up. But it's like, nope, no. They said that's okay. What you
Yeah.
think is not okay, they said is okay. I don't
You
know.
know what's really
It's funny
funny?
how we've got this conservative Supreme Court now, and they just keep just fucking
Yeah.
just batting them out of the park
Which
over
is
and
so
over again.
funny. When like I hear, because conservatives love saying this, they love saying that systemic racism isn't a thing or is a buzzword, because you say something enough times it just becomes a buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
So then people are just gonna roll their eyes at it. Like the word woke doesn't even mean the same thing anymore. We vaguely know what it means, but that's
Right.
it. But
It's very
like
relative.
a lot of them say systemic racism doesn't exist, but then affirmative action is quite literally the band-aid that was created by the government because of systemic racism, because
Yeah,
instead of fixing the system or the problem, they just put this band-aid on top of it and said, let them be happy, let them eat cake.
that
That's
is
essentially what they
exactly what it
did.
was. Yeah.
And it's really funny because, like, in one hand, a lot of conservatives do not like affirmative action, but they want to say that the thing that affirmative action was created to get rid of
Doesn't even exist.
doesn't even exist, which
Yeah.
is fucking absurd because
Yeah.
you people are the ones who essentially created affirmative action,
Yeah.
thinking it
It
wasn't
does make
going to
sense.
work.
That doesn't make much sense.
So
It's like such an overly complex issue. I could not speak to it coherently but yeah, it was just interesting to hear it was two different black men on opposing sides and being able to speak to their history because both of them not necessarily benefited, but like I think one guy said he got a boost from, and then John McWhorter said that it helped him. Wasn't like critical in it, but it was a helpful thing. I think he said something along the lines of he went into linguistics and he had great grades and all that, but he hadn't had some of the prerequisite uh, education that some of the other candidates got. So, but they were like, "Hey, you got good grades, come on in." So anyway, it was cool to listen to. But again, it's just like I don't like this Supreme Court. What I'm sick of hearing? I'm sick of hearing and seeing people online. They're like, see, this is all because you didn't vote for Hillary in 2016.
go fuck yourselves.
But
Same shit would have happened. This is a ripple effect.
even if it wouldn't have
Like,
happened, I'm just like, okay, well, that didn't happen. She didn't get elected.
yeah,
that was fucking
you
7 years
can't
ago
get your
now.
little time machine and go back and
Yeah.
change shit. So yeah,
See, if you voted for Hillary, the Supreme Court wouldn't be there.
look,
Yeah.
the only thing I'll forever blame is that we turned on the Hadron Collider. That's what fucked us all up.
You think it put us into a different dimension?
Oh, I don't even think it put us into a different dimension. No, it put us into ending G, which I've said multiple times before, and now like other like shit is bleeding into our realm and shit's fucked up. That's why we're still dealing with Mandela effect bullshit. How like
That's why the
it's
aliens
still
are showing
absurd
up
to me.
now. And the government's like
No, that's why the
acknowledging.
aliens are both here and not here simultaneously. Like
Yeah.
the alien entities are just like fucking like ethereal, and they're possessing people, making them dumber than usual because they don't know what the fuck reality is anymore.
I don't know what reality is anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I don't either. I didn't exclude us. I'm just saying I feel like I'm aware of some shit.
Oh no, I agree with you. Oh, so I listened to we were talking about boss battles when we were hanging out the other day, right? Because I was telling you
Yeah.
about the Fun and Games podcast. Shout out to Fun and Games and Matt over there. They did their episode on boss battles, and I listened to it the other day. And sure enough, one of the boss battles they specifically brought up was the Mr. Freeze boss battle that you were talking
See,
about.
yep, I
How
see.
great it was, and
It's
more
such a good boss
specifically,
battle.
how in the higher level New Game Plus mode, you couldn't use the same attack more than once, and how good that was. Like, that was one of the
It
first
sounded
ones
like
they
a
brought up.
script, didn't it? Because I
Yeah,
said almost the
dude,
same thing.
I felt like deja vu. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, this is everything Joaquin said to me. Like, it's like word for word. This is everything Joaquin said. Yeah, so it was really weird to just basically hear the conversation you and I had between them on their podcast. They kind of missed my point though about the God of War Hydra battle in the very first God of War, because I mentioned what makes a great boss battle are the phases involved in
Yeah.
a boss battle like that. And I don't know if they didn't play it, but they were thinking more of the boss battles where like you beat the boss and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now it's time for boss number 2 of the same boss. You know, it's just a different.
Oh.
The boss evolves and it's a
Oh,
different
like
version.
after the boss. Now you're
Yeah.
thinking that the boss phases are tiers or however.
Yeah, like in
That
the
works out.
Hydra
Like,
battle, you start like you're in the ship and like it shoots its head in, you're battling one head, then you're like going through the ship a little more and you're battling another. Then you get outside and you got to pin one head down, and you got to go pin the other head down, then you got to go up top and fight the main head. And there's like different, it's like different parts of the boss battle that are within one boss battle, not like the boss just keeps evolving over time. Which, oh yeah, they also specifically mentioned how bad the Joker battle was at the end of Arkham Asylum, where he turns into the Bane version, which you also said it was crazy. It was literally like they were having the same conversation you and I had a couple days earlier. It was very fucking weird.
That's pretty
to me.
good.
Yeah,
That's
it was
fucking
just
good.
It was really interesting just to hear them be like, oh shit, like these are the exact same things we were talking about. And then they mostly talked about RPG battles, Dark Souls battles.
I tried very hard not to bring up RPG battles.
I don't like RPGs.
I know you
in
don't.
general.
That's why I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, well, no, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to consider me, to consider my thought process. So it was just cool. It was interesting. It was a good podcast though. They had a lot of good insight, and they talked a lot about Metroid battles too, which are, I mean,
I'm
good battles.
neutral on Metroid. I like Metroid, but I don't have a particular space in my heart for it.
I need to go back and replay most of them, because I had played Dread when it came out recently. It was just so good, and I want to go back and play Fusion. Fusion that was for Game Boy Advance. I think.
Was it Advance or SP?
I don't remember, but I want to go back and play that.
It was a handheld.
Yeah, because that was a really good one. I think they've got it on like the Virtual Console store. I'm sure I have a ROM of it somewhere. Oh, I mean, I shouldn't say that. But anyway,
it's morally wrong.
It's morally wrong. Don't do it. Have we talked about this before on the podcast?
Yes, you brought up a quandary, and I thought you were talking about morals.
Oh, right. We had a whole conversation about ROMs. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, we don't need to revisit that conversation. Anyway, so what else is new with you, man?
Dude, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've taken off work to watch the kids for the summer, and I am officially just losing my shit.
You're losing your shit? Just too much kids time?
Too much. I mean, I feel bad because that my wife was mad at me last night. She wasn't mad at me, but she felt really like distant from me, and I gave her time to like decompress, but half of it was me just wanting time away from any living being.
No, I get that. I mean, that happens to everybody.
And so, but I've been doing it multiple nights because spending time with the kids the entire amount of time.
Yeah,
I just don't have patience for anyone.
Well, I think at the end of the day, after you've spent the whole day with them, you need a little time to yourself. That's just
so,
I mean, that's human nature.
And she thought I was avoiding her, which I technically was. Because I was like, I don't want to interrupt her show. I don't want her to get upset. If I said something to her while she was watching the show, she tends to come off unintentionally hostile
when she's watching her shows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I do that too.
Don't.
I hate when I hate when I'm watching TV and people start talking or try to interrupt or like talk about. It drives me fucking nuts. I do the same
Yeah,
thing.
because
But anyway,
I brought it up to her. I was like, I didn't want to interrupt your show. She's like, I'm watching SVU, which she started watching from episode
right.
1.
We talked about that, yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, but I mean, doesn't mean you don't like it. She's like, I'm sitting on my phone. I went, you do that with every show. You're always playing on your phone and watching a show. I do that. What are you talking about?
I think everybody
like,
does. We're addicted.
That's not the problem. I don't want to interrupt you. I already am emotionally not in a place where if I deal with any level of hostility, I'm just either going to shut down or I'm going to
Flip
be
out.
hostile too.
Yeah, it's one of the two.
I don't want to. I'm going to avoid that altogether by not communicating. The only person I'll kind of talk to is the cat.
Cat can't talk back, so.
Yeah, I mean, he does.
Just completely random.
I just don't understand him.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess he can talk back. You don't speak meow.
Yeah,
meow-nese. That sounds
racist.
Yeah.
Oh, he talks to me. He has full-on conversations with me.
It's
weird.
Random side note, because I've mentioned multiple times I'm watching the original Law and Order. I forget which season it is, but at the end of like season 16, the guy who plays Detective Lupo in season 17, he's the lawyer, like the main defense lawyer. So at the end of one season, he's the main defense lawyer, and then the first episode of the next season, he's the new detective. It's
like, what the fuck?
I mean, I guess the casting
work. Does promotions work unilaterally like that?
Well, they do it a lot in Law and Order where they've reused characters. There's a lot of main characters that were on the show as some random character at some point. But he was the main defense lawyer, so he had a big part in the show. And then literally the next episode I watch, he's a detective and
is he the same character?
Nope, completely different character.
What the doppelgangers?
It was really funny. I was like, nah, that doesn't. You can't do that. That's too much.
No, oh my god,
that's just as bad as changing the actor of a like
it's
beloved
like Law and
character.
Order, American Horror Story.
It was funny. I just like, wait a minute, that he was in the fucking last episode as the lawyer. Yep, sure enough. So yeah, that was just random side note. But I get it. You need time to decompress. I haven't felt well for the last week. My wife's been amazing in dealing with the kids and doing stuff with them and bringing them to swim at my in-laws and doing activities with them and bringing them to the library. They started swim lessons on Monday. So they went and did that. So she's been fantastic, thankfully, since I haven't felt well. Yeah, big applause. Big
golf
ups.
clap for her.
Golf clap. Our golf claps are going to be way out of time. Oh, it doesn't matter. But I get it. Yeah, sometimes you just, that's happened. So, I got squeaky chair today. Sorry, everybody. I didn't feel like switching it.
I mean, what's happened? I saw The Flash. Because my dad and I, our bonding
Did you go to the theater?
Was our bonding film was Michael Keaton's 1989 Batman.
Such a good movie.
My first superhero. Michael Keaton's hands down my favorite Batman. Robert Pattinson almost took it, but he has another film to prove himself for me. To not prove himself to be a Batman. He's Batman. He was great.
Yes.
But he has another film to be the better Batman.
Yeah.
Because for me, Michael Keaton was just top, and this kind of proved it to me. Because even at 60 some odd years old he is right now, he was just dope.
Did you like the movie?
Okay, so the movie is extremely fast paced. I feel like a lot of people, I never liked Ezra Miller's Flash. Let's just be 100% here.
Sure.
I think he acts too much like I imagine Wally West, younger Wally West acting.
Okay.
And I'm a comic geek, so
yeah, I know what you're talking
Wally
about.
West is like the third Flash. He's the third
right.
Flash. He's supposed to be like the fastest of all of them, technically. But Barry Allen's the classic. And Barry Allen is slightly more serious. He's less Spider-Man. With the ring in the mouth. So Ezra Miller plays him very jittery and nervous.
All right, yeah, that I remember from
immature. And they pull it back a little bit, but then they go full extent if he never became a superhero in the other alternate universe.
Right.
So he's doubly annoying as one character and not as annoying as the other.
So they balance each other out, so he's just annoying as usual.
But the sheer fact that Ezra Miller is an unlikable person in real life, a lot of people, I understand, will not be able to separate that.
No, I get that.
So
it's hard. it's hard when it's like when people talk about separating the the art from the artist. It's so
Mm-hmm.
much different when you're talking about music, for example,
Yeah,
or
it's
or
like
a
short
filmmaker
lived.
than an actor, because I mean the actor's the person when it comes down to
Yeah.
it. When I see Mel Gibson in a movie now, I just can't not think about his racist
Oh yeah. Oh
tirades
God,
to
I
the
can't.
cops. I
I don't
can't.
need another Lethal Weapon coming out.
Yeah, you can't
I don't
separate that
like.
at
It's
that
just
point because it's the same person. You're seeing the same
at,
face.
at least when I watch the older movies, I'm like, this is before the anti-Semitism. Like I could almost at least do that. But if he
Well,
was like to do something now, because like when he was in like the last Machete,
wait,
um,
what
he was
was?
in Machete too.
Oh, okay. He was
He was the
recently
he was
in.
the villain.
I haven't watched it yet, but the John Wick like prequel that was a
Oh,
TV. It was like a TV miniseries. He was in
huh.
that, and I wanted to watch it until I saw he was in it, and then I was kind of like,
Yeah,
eh,
it's just like, nah, I'm good.
yeah.
And because I was already weary on like Warner Brothers backing them, but I don't like Warner Brothers as a company. They as a studio, they're
You've
shit.
you've mentioned, yes.
And so I went in the movie because one, as I said, my curiosity was piqued more than my excitement. And that rarely ever happens.
Hmm.
So I was very curious how the movie was gonna go, what they were gonna do. And I feel that it it was better than Black Adam, like 100% better.
I mean,
Way more entertaining. All
they
the actors gave it their all, way better than anybody
they could have just
in
filmed a
Black
cat
Adam.
shitting in a sandbox, and
It would have been
it would
better
have been
than
better.
Black Adam. um, the movie felt less ego driven, despite the fact that Ezra Miller was all over the film,
Hmm.
literally. But it felt less ego driven. The people complained a lot about the graphics, which the graphics did have a lot of weird shoddy spots. Um, but ultimately, people complained about the ending because he's like in this weird bubble called the Chrono Ball,
Wait,
and
the
so
ending of the movie.
yeah,
All right,
I don't.
spoiler alert, people.
Spoiler alert! I'm sorry for if I feel like you would have seen it already, but yeah, spoiler alert. Whatever.
It's too. It's. I think the rule's like 20 years.
I'm not going to spoil what happens, but he's in this ball. This is how he travels time. He just runs so fast that he can like he reaches a state where he can travel through time.
Yeah, I mean that's how
And
Superman 2, right?
yeah,
Same.
sort of.
Was it 2?
Um,
Yeah.
I think it might have been the first one actually. I think
Whichever.
where
Yeah,
he
whichever
dies in
one
the
it was.
first one and he
Same
flies around
thing.
the
Yeah, he
world.
just goes really, really fast until time goes a different way.
But he goes into this thing called the Chrono Ball, and so inside the ball he's running, and it looks like he's running backwards, and everything outside looks like a video game.
Okay,
Like it's very like CG heavy, cartoonish.
but stylistic choice, not
Yeah.
bad.
I felt like it was a stylistic choice. It didn't feel like because it felt like anytime anything was inside the ball, it looked real,
Hmm.
but everything outside of it looked like it was CG
Yeah, that
or
sounds like
cartoony.
a stylistic choice to me.
Then they showed other worlds, and they were like they were like balls, and you would see snippets, and everything looked cartoony. And I would only imagine if you went inside of it, it would look real.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, they literally just explained the multiverse, which means that this is a comic book movie, so everything's gonna look animated. Especially the fact that the way they're trying to move forward with this is that the animated films, the video games, and the movies are all gonna be simultaneously connected. So I kind of see how this makes sense. But
I
people complained about it because I feel like if the CG wasn't shoddy in certain scenes that didn't involve that thing,
Oh, okay, yeah.
then it would have made more sense if that was a stylistic
So
choice. But that's how I felt
some
about it.
people just saw it and saw other shitty CGI and were like, ah, yeah, it's just all bad.
Yeah. I
Well,
feel
they
like they
don't
made
have
Ezra
the
Miller.
palette you do, man. They don't have the refined palette you do. That's all. They're
I feel like
noobs.
I said Michael Keaton was amazing in every scene he was. I loved Supergirl for the little bit that she was in it. I want to see Sasha Kaye in more films. Um, just in general, she was great. But as Supergirl, like this angry, broken Supergirl, I just loved it. Um, I mean, as I said, like it was just it wasn't a bad movie, but I was shocked that it flopped. because it did. It bombed.
Yeah, that I heard.
But I'm also not shocked. I'm not shocked when I bring myself outside of the film itself. Because when I'm outside, because it was just kind of typical blockbuster superhero film, but it had nothing else to say.
I get it. Yeah.
And I also feel like writing wise, due to the pace of the movie, the comedy was way too much, and it kind of took you out of a lot of serious moments.
Oh, it was actually over the top, too much comedy?
I think no, wasn't that the comedy itself was over the top. It was that it was sprinkled in like the wrong places.
Got it.
Like, you know,
like
something
almost
happens.
like someone went back to rewrite, was like, we need more jokes.
Yeah, and it wasn't like to the degree of Joss Whedon like killing the Justice League film, but it was a little too much. Like there was like a gag that almost perpetually through the movie where like Barry loses his tooth and he just super glues it back in his mouth.
I don't think that would work.
Like, that's ridiculous, and that's not how that works.
No, that wouldn't work. Not at all.
And I'm just like, you do have super healing, right? Couldn't you just like push your tooth against it and your body would... You can phase through walls.
He could go back in time.
I'm just saying, like...
Go back in time and get that cavity fixed.
which, mind you, still, he
this
like...
fucking chair, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just... The movie had a lot of eye-rolly things that a typical superhero blockbuster would have, but if Warner Brothers didn't back it the way they did and everything, it wouldn't work. Right. Now, here's the reason why it upsets me so much, and then I'm done with this section, is that now Warner Brothers is doing damage control, and they're affecting the new plan that they made that has nothing to do with this film.
Right.
The new plans that they're going ahead with, now they're putting a tighter stranglehold on them, and they're going to kill Blue Beetle.
I was just going to say, isn't that the start?
They're not promoting it.
Blue Beetle's the start of it, right?
No, the Blue Beetle is separate. The Blue Beetle will technically be the start.
Okay.
But it has no connection to any of the other films, and that's a good thing. It was supposed to come out straight, like, just for streaming.
Right, that's what I thought I had seen.
Warner Brothers isn't promoting Blue Beetle. The second trailer is phenomenal looking.
Yeah, well, you had mentioned it a while ago, I think on the podcast, and I hadn't even heard that it was coming out, and I went and checked out the trailer, and it's got the kid from Cobra Kai in it, and I was like, oh, him, yeah, I like that kid. And the trailer looked really good. And it looks really good. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh.
It actually feels like DC's Iron Man.
Yeah,
it kind of feels like.
I think I watched the trailer with my wife, and I said the same thing. I was like, "Oh, so this is like Iron Man, but he's blue and he's a beetle."
It's an alien suit as opposed to
right. Yep.
The guy being a genius, which I'm fine with. Like,
yeah, I'm fine with that too.
And I know it's still going to have a lot of the tropes that a lot of these DC superhero films have, which I'm not a super fan of, but. Whatever, but they're trying to affect these other films and doing damage control for things that have nothing to do with the original plans. And this is the exact same fucking thing you guys did every single time your movies failed because you're not listening to anybody. You shouldn't have backed Ezra Miller as much as you did.
Well, didn't they not
so much on the film?
Didn't they kind of not have a choice? Didn't they kind of have already had filmed it and then he started doing shit that got people to not like him?
Yes, yeah. But they could have said something.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It would have put people more at ease if they said, "Well, we're not going to have him back," and then they refilm something to kind of play along. Which the way the movie ended, it kind of can still go in that way, where we're not going to see him anymore because the movie's about multiverses.
That might have been I'm still wondering that about the Marvel universe. And speaking of, I got a hot take.
Oh God, I'm so tired.
I'm kind of sick of superhero movies at this point.
A lot of people are getting superhero fatigue, and there's like this weird backlash of people saying that there's no such thing.
I'm not mad about it or anything. I'm just kind of like I haven't watched Quantumania yet. The Guardians movies are my absolute favorite of any of them. In fact, Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I haven't watched Guardians 3 yet, and that's out on streaming now.
It is.
Yeah, just within the last couple days, I believe, dropped on streaming.
Okay,
we should watch it.
Definitely.
Yeah, if you want to come over this weekend,
my wife likes it.
Why don't we put it on this weekend if you're not busy?
I'm not this weekend. Not going to be available.
All right,
we shouldn't be doing these plans.
We'll make plans off the podcast. It's weird for us to sit here and make plans on our podcast. But yeah, we should check it out. But I don't know what it is. I feel like even 5 years ago, it was like, oh, it's out, I gotta go see it, I gotta, or oh, it's streaming, I gotta watch it the first day, and I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like, all
I
right, I
I
haven't
don't
started
get
Secret
excited for
Invasion
anything.
yet. uh
I'm not excited for Deadpool, which sucks because I saw the suit, the Wolverine suit.
oh, the yellow one.
Yeah.
I didn't know,
And I
I
was
thought
just
it was
like,
fake until I saw
oh,
like an
because it
actual.
was so yellow.
Yeah, I saw the picture, and you know why? I first saw it in a meme where somebody had made Wolverine shorter because he's supposed to be short,
He's supposed to
and
be
I
short.
thought
He's
it
like
was
five
just,
three.
yeah, I thought it was like a meme, like a fake picture. I
Yeah.
didn't realize somebody took the real picture and made him smaller, and then I saw it
What's
again. I was
really
like, oh, that's real.
what's really funny is like Wolverine's in the yellow suit. They showed a scene of him like, well, it's behind the scenes, but he's like holding Deadpool's leg, which is kind of funny. So
Look,
it's gonna be a bloody scene.
Hugh Jackman
Um,
and Ryan Reynolds together as those two characters. It's gonna be
finally,
good. It's gonna be good. There's no
like
doubt. But
despite the writer strike nonsense, I hope it'll be entertaining.
yeah,
Um, it's weird looking at Wolverine with sleeves on his suit. That bothers me, but not
yeah,
in like
that's
a
kind of weird.
because like Wolverine doesn't. But then I understand it. People are like, what are you doing? Putting sleeves on him. I want
Well,
to see his big ass arms. I'm
well,
like, Hugh Jackman stopped being Wolverine specifically because he can't keep that
I was
size.
just gonna
It is
say
so hard for him to keep that
they
size, and
probably
he's
gave him the
older now.
sleeves so that he didn't have to shoot up a bunch of fucking bull
The
semen or
steroids and
whatever.
shit. Like
He's
he
putting in
doesn't
his
need.
body.
Like, do you understand
Poor
that
bastard.
unlike Wolverine, Hugh Jackman ages?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
been Wolverine since we were in middle school.
Oh my
Like,
god, you're right. And he
like
was small in
fuck
that too.
you.
The first X Men,
Yeah.
he wasn't small, but he was like a
No,
regular human.
he was a regular dude.
you
And
know,
then he got big for like he actually only got big
I think it was a
in
standalone.
X-Men Wolverine Origins.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
first time he got real big.
yeah.
And people were like, he's so jacked.
Which
I'm
then,
like, uh-huh.
which then kind of screws the timeline up because he was like super jacked in the Origins movie, and then he got less jacked in the original trilogy. I don't know, whatever.
No, but his hairstyle couldn't even stay the same. So let's be real here.
Yeah, that's true.
Wolverine's hair never stayed the fucking same in the movies.
I like Hugh Jackman. He's a good dude.
Oh no, I
From what
like
I've
him.
seen, we did I ever tell this? It's so embarrassing. This I saw
He's the
Hugh
new
Jackman
Mel Gibson.
live.
I trust him.
I went and saw his.
Oh,
He did a live show a little after. Oh my god, I can't think of the movie's name. How do I not? Greatest Showman came
I
out.
knew you were going to say the
Yeah.
Greatest Showman.
So my wife
They
really
really promoted the shit out of that shitty movie.
They did. Hey, that's a good movie.
It's shitty.
All right,
I'm sorry.
The
It's
movie's
shitty.
kind of shitty. The music is very good. That's kind of.
I didn't say anything about the music.
No. That's why I'm reevaluating my
Yeah.
my ire for you here. But I'm pretty sure Hugh Jackman is one of my wife's hall passes if we had such a thing. But I got tickets and we went and saw his live show at the Prudential Center, and it was. You know what? She's gonna listen to this, and I don't know if I've ever said it out loud, but man, it was terrible. It was just Hugh Jackman singing a bunch of fucking songs I didn't know and didn't care about, and like songs from musicals. But she loved it, so it was worth it. She's
Speaking
seen
of Hugh
things I
Jackman
don't like.
singing,
So-
I would absolutely pay money dollars to see Russell Crowe singing every single of his Les Miserables songs with Hugh Jackman sitting down next to him looking disapprovingly.
Well,
that's all I want.
I will say Hugh Jackman sounded pretty good live, but he definitely, you could tell he's not as good as he is on the recordings when he's doing a professional session.
They auto-tune everybody.
Of course.
Which real auto-tune, not like
right.
what T-Pain does. T.I.
Right. No, I know what you meant.
T-Pain does like actual auto-tune, like fix them up, make sure they hit those right pitches.
Yeah, but if you go see a real musician live that has a good voice, they're gonna, it's not necessarily the same. But it was a little jarring to hear him not struggle, but like not quite hit the notes as well as easily as he did in other things.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really funny. A lot of people tend to not know or forget, but artists who use a lot of auto-tune, like there's a difference between Studio Perry and Katy Perry.
Right. Yeah.
Like I think they recorded a live show of Katy Perry, or maybe it was a Super Bowl or something, and you just hear her, and it's like, who's this bitch?
Well, you know what though?
Like,
I'm okay with that for two reasons. One, at least she's actually singing. She's not using backing tracks
Yes,
and it's a fake
100%,
bullshit concert.
100%.
And two, a lot of those pop artists, you're there for a spectacle. Like it's a show.
Yes.
It's not
Well,
just you're not just there to hear them sing. You're there to see a show, a production.
well, that's why I was going to bring up after Katy Perry was Pink.
Mhm.
Pink, who is a singer who sings very well. She also has segments in her shows, and thanks to my wife, reason why I even know this, she has segments where she's literally a performing artist, because that's what a lot of them call themselves. I think as a performing artist or something like that.
Mhm.
Like Britney Spears is more of a performing artist.
Sure.
Live, she doesn't sound exactly how she sounded when she's in the studio, but she does a lot of dancing, a lot of spectacle and shit like that.
Well,
Pink does segments where she's not mainly singing, she's focusing on like rope work and dancing and crazy shit.
well, that's cool.
So
That's
it's
good.
like going to like a circus.
It makes sense, giving herself a rest. But I mean, if you read about
Yeah.
any of these, like Beyonce or Taylor Swift's tours, it's like a huge Justin Timberlake.
Mhm.
It's not. I mean, I worked during the pandemic. I did some virtual live stream shows with the company that did Justin Timberlake's like last tour, maybe 2 tours ago now, and worked on the show. And like, it's like a deal. Like, I mean, they got a whole team that's literally just focused on making the show a spectacle. So you're not just
Yeah.
there to hear Justin Timberlake sing. You're there to see this crazy fucking show with these dancers and these lights and these big props and set pieces and
Well,
shit like that.
Think about it. Like, if you go to see a band, like you're watching, like you're seeing the drummer, you're seeing the guitarist. If you see a singer like Justin Timberlake, and if they don't have anybody,
Yeah, it's different.
like what else is? It's like going to a school concert.
And I don't like. I mean, I've been to hundreds of concerts, but they've all been concerts. It's a
Yeah.
band on a stage playing. Maybe they got like a little video playing behind them and some lights,
Yep.
but it's not a stage show. I mean, the only thing I can think of even close was when I saw Metallica in like 94 or 95, a
Ugh.
giant stadium. And they had like a lot of pyro and stuff, but even then, I mean, you were really watching.
But that's
the band.
just yeah. You're watching the band.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why like I always found it funny when people go to see like EDM DJs, because I went to a EDM concert once because I was
Did lots of
deploying in
Molly.
like a few days. Funny enough, I did. I got in trouble for it.
I was just making it up.
I was getting ready to deploy, and I got convinced, peer pressured into doing it.
You did Molly and had sex with a pig.
No, because I don't think it worked. It was probably bullshit.
Oh, really? Yeah, they just give you sugar pill.
But there was definitely a woman there that definitely was on it. And it was very uncomfortable every time, because I just so happened to like mention my niece, because my buddy was trying to he wanted me to wingman for him, so I was trying to get him hooked up with her.
She was like, I want to fuck your niece.
But she was just but she was just like, oh, you're taking care of a baby. It was so weird.
Oh,
it's so uncomfortable.
That made my comment dark.
And I was just like, no. Like, I was just really uncomfortable.
Yeah, that would put me in a very uncomfortable position too. I mean, I'm always uncomfortable in any social situation involving more than two people. But.
And already, I was deploying sometime after that, and I was freshly married, and so I was just like trying to help my single guy friend out.
Yeah, you were being a wingman, like you said.
And god damn, man, just me mentioning a child, I take care of a child, I thought that would just be like okay, cool.
You thought that would calm down the situation.
Me having a ring on my finger,
she didn't give a shit.
Did not give a shit. And I'm like, no, this is uncomfortable. I clammed up completely. It's like, I'm gonna go back to the hotel room.
It's probably where I would have been the whole time.
But before that happened, the EDM part was going on, right?
Yeah.
Boring as fucking hell to watch the DJ just kind of.
I mean, do they even do anything nowadays? Like, they got fucking MacBooks.
They dance
and they're
around
just
a little bit, but it's mainly the screens behind them, and everybody in the crowd is very high, so they're just they're doing that thing that teenagers do when they zone out at a screensaver.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about anything. They're just like, ooh, colors.
And me, I like gimmicky, stupid shit, so I bought those gloves with the glowing fingers on them. I didn't know what they were for, and there's a thing behind them, apparently. I was just like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then somebody tapped me and was just like, do me. do me. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like looking around and I see people doing this shit with their fingers
What the
and like
fuck is that?
creating like weird patterns and shit with their hands. So I'm like,
Oh, it's just a
okay. And I
visual thing when
started
they're
like,
fucked up.
yeah. And he's just staring at my hands. I'm like, I feel like
I'm
me
being
and this
used.
random guy had like an intimate moment.
Oh, okay.
Like,
All right.
just
So you weren't
was
being used. You
very,
felt good. You felt good about it.
yeah. I feel good about it?
You said you had an
I
intimate
was like,
moment. Oh,
that
you
doesn't mean
not necessarily bad or not necessarily a good intimate moment.
good. As awkward as I was that entire night, I'm now doing this. I gave the gloves away, I think. No, you know what? No, I kept the gloves. I just lost one.
You still have one?
And I got sprayed with paint in the eye because it was called the paint party, so it sprays paint everywhere. If you have you seen the show Workaholics?
I a couple episodes, not in any
There
continuity.
so one of Adam Devine's one of the main guys.
Yep.
His friends has like really long hair. He
Yep.
had this bear coat. It was a coat that just had like a bear head on it.
Right. Okay.
And it was like one episode. I think it was the second episode maybe. But one of my buddies, he had the same kind of coat on. He ended up ordering it and wore it for the paint party and used it to get us in past the line.
How so?
He just said, "Follow me." It was like straight out of a fucking movie. I shit you not. Because the line was long as shit and going like winding down the hill. And he started pushing past people. And my buddy's behind me. I'm the second one in. And I'm going, huh? My friend pushes me forward. And I go, excuse me, I'm with him. Excuse me, I'm with him. And he just acted like the fucking big dog and people were letting him through. And we were just following. And he let us in. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I had such a fucking nervous breakdown.
I hear that all the time about stuff like that. Like if you just act like you get confidence and just you're at an arena and just go walk in the back, just as long as you carry a clipboard, maybe you just act like you got confidence. People just assume you're supposed to be there, and that's just they won't say anything.
Dude, that was surreal, and I did not have a great time. But I won't. That was an experience that I learned a lot from. It was so weird.
With your fake Molly and intimate moment with some dude in your gloves.
Random strangers feeling that my personal bubble is a place that they could just like be in.
That is a thing I cannot tolerate.
Like,
and I don't mean that like in a like I can't tolerate that. It would make me uncomfortable. I mean I can't tolerate that. I would probably punch them. Get the fuck out of my bubble. You are in my space.
Again, I'm not confrontational. I back the fuck down in social situations. I do not like any kind of social situation, good or bad, because I'm afraid I'm translating it wrong in my head, and so I become self-conscious, and I'm like, nah, nope, and like I got yelled at by somebody. They kept asking me, telling me to stop apologizing.
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm incapable of not apologizing.
You know what's funny?
Like a part of my normal speech.
Okay, this is something I actually, and you just refreshed my memory. So this is something I wanted to bring up. So this has happened multiple times to me in the past few months. So I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day that I'm not going to overcomplicate the situation. He owed me a little bit of money, and he messaged me the other day and was like, "Hey, I meant to pay you back Thursday. I'm so sorry I didn't get to it." And I was just like, "Oh, I wasn't even thinking about it. I forgot about it. You know, it's cool, whenever."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh," he's like, "I'm so glad." He's like, "I've been so anxious about it like all week." And I was like, "Really? Like, it's really not a big deal. It's not something, you should to worry about." And then like I had another friend that I don't even remember the situation was. Oh, I think he was going to mail me something or something like that. And he didn't get it out to me. And then this was like a couple months ago. The same thing. Like he messaged me, he was like, "Oh, hey, I still haven't mailed that out." And I was like, "Oh, it's cool. No problem. Whenever you get to it." It's the same thing. "Oh man. Okay. I was really anxious about it. I was worried you were mad at me about it." It's just like, am I giving off the wrong vibe here or something?
Because no, at least with me, I hate the exchange of money between friends if there's a expectation behind it. So if, like, I will go hungry before I ask somebody for money.
Okay, let me clarify.
Like to borrow money specifically.
Sure.
Like, let's say like if we're out and you offer to buy me a slice of pizza or something like that, I would just be like, okay, I got you later. That's different to me than
Right.
going, hey, can I borrow $5? I'll pay you back.
Okay, I didn't want to overcomplicate
Um,
it, but it was actually like I was I was prepaid. I had how do I make this without? I don't want to get super specific. I had prepaid. There was something I had to pay him for. I prepaid
mhm.
and then didn't end up needing to pay him for it, so he had to pay me back. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we ended. I had
Yes.
prepaid. It ended up we
Then
didn't.
he just owes you that money back.
Right.
Like,
It was
no, that
basically just
actually no, he legitimately just owes you that money back,
yeah.
and
He
that's an
didn't really
obligation on
borrow
him.
it. He just owes it. Has to give it back.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that's a business. That's purely business.
Sure. Yeah.
And if that's the case, if it's a service, if it's anything, dude, if you're a friend or not, especially if you're a friend, actually, pay your fucking friend back.
Well, that's
Like,
not.
no, I know, but what I'm saying on him, like that is should be the voice in his head,
Oh,
and
I'm
I
sure
think that's
it
probably what's
is.
making him feel bad.
Yeah, you're
And it has
probably
nothing to
right.
do with you. It has
Okay.
nothing to do with you.
Yeah, because
It
it's
has
been a
everything to do with the obligation of, man, I'm a shitty person
okay.
because I didn't pay this person back that I owe them,
I get it. All right.
regardless.
Yeah, because it's not just those 2 times. There's probably another 2 or 3 times in there over the last, I don't know, year. And I'm just like, do I give off the vibe that like I'm just gonna be a pissed off person
And mind you, I'm not
about
calling your
things?
friend shitty. I'm just saying like the realization
Totally no. No, you mean in
coming
his
to
head
them.
he's going, oh man, I'm shitty and I'm feeling anxious about being shitty. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just like where I'm like, am I giving off a vibe to people
And
that I'm gonna
and
be a
mind
dick to
you,
them about something?
having
I know I'm a
future
dick, but
interactions with you, having future interactions with you is going to cause him to feel like he's being confronted for it because now he's thinking that you're thinking it, even if you're saying it's okay.
sure.
Because the best way to make that go away is to just fucking pay it.
Sure.
That's the easiest way for it to go away.
No, I know. But I've even had people like I don't know, we've probably talked about this. I only have like my only close friends are really like you and maybe 1 or 2 other people. And
Yeah.
like you're my only close friend in my proximity too. But I have a lot of friends that I see like once in a while, or maybe I talk to them every few months. I have friends I talk to every couple of years, and like
Yeah.
I'd still do anything for them. But I've had friends that like I'll reach out to after not talking to for a couple months, and that's normal. And then they'll be like, "Oh, I thought you were mad at me," or will message me out of the blue and be like, "Hey, are you mad at me? Because I haven't really heard from you recently." I'm like, "What am I doing wrong?"
I mean, I would think if you didn't message me at the frequency at which you do, and then you stopped, I would think you were mad at me.
Well, that makes sense, but I'm talking about people that like maybe I only
But
talk to every couple months.
yeah, no, you're just like, no, I'm just very frank. I'm very flat. Like this is
Yeah, yeah,
the dynamic
sweet.
of a relationship.
Yeah,
I could believe that with you. I see now you got me thinking because I have an old friend or was a friend that only like got in contact with me when they needed something.
that we could do a whole episode about that. I think that's
So
actually on the list or something similar.
that would just that hurts real bad
I
because
totally get that.
they want to act like they're a close friend and whatnot, but never once pays back that help.
No, and it's always prefaced with a attempt to have a casual conversation,
Yeah, always.
and then it can never naturally be worked in. Like it's always just this blank. Oh, here it comes.
Yep.
When I was growing up, my mother had 2 friends that were. She had 3. I'm sorry, she had 3 good friends, but 2 of her. Sorry, let me go back. When she was young, she had 2 good friends that she maintained through adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those friends were those type of friends. They only reached out when they fucking needed something. And even me as a child or
Knew that was
a
wrong,
young
right?
adolescent could see it and knew it was wrong and would
Mm.
recognize like, okay, this person only gets in touch with my mother when she fucking needs something. She'll show up out of the blue and say, oh, hey, I just, was in the area. I figured I'd come say hi. And then,
Just wondering
oh, by the
about
way,
you.
can you sew this communion dress for my daughter? Like, it's always fucking something. And it
Oh, you
drove
gotta
me
be
fucking
kidding
nuts.
me.
We could do a whole episode on that. Maybe we should at some point. But today, or do we want to change topics? Maybe we should talk about that. No, let's stick to what we were going to do. Today,
Well, actually,
Well, actually,
Actually, that's what it
yeah.
is.
It's time to begin the complaining.
Actually,
It's recreational complaining.
today we're going to talk about actually snobs, which before we even started talking on the podcast today, we both acknowledged we sometimes can be, and I kind of think I tend to be more often than I'm willing to maybe admit. But maybe it's different. Let's talk about it. Maybe the way I do it is different. I don't know. I fucking
See,
hate.
I've never ran into you doing that, so.
Well, I feel like I do it, but I don't think I do it in the snobbery way. So maybe that's what we need to explore. I cannot fucking stand people who feel the need to point shit out to me that I'm minutely incorrect on, or is completely irrelevant to the point I'm making, or has nothing to do with the point I'm making, and is just to throw the knowledge in there. Something fucking stupid. If I said, if it was some big point, let's say we're talking about the Marvel universe or something, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, Thor was a Norse god, and it's really cool that Marvel took the character, and they're like, oh, it's cool, let's make him a character, and oh, it'd be awesome if they took the Norse gods. And then you were like, oh, well, actually, the Norse gods, we talked about this recently, the Norse gods are part of the DC universe, and there was disagreement. That's different. That's like, oh, cool, thanks for the additional information that I had known that's relevant to what I'm talking about.
That literally is additional information.
Yeah, that giving me something. But if I'm like talking about Thor, and I say oh, the Thor movie, the first Thor movie was really good. I didn't really care for the second Thor movie, and this isn't true, but actually, the second Thor movie originally had a much different script, but this different writer came in, and there was a battle between the writers, and the one writer said, "I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care.
It was
I'm
still
just
a
saying
bad
it was
film.
a bad film.
This is what came out.
I don't need your fucking bullshit information about. I'm just talking about what came out. I don't care. I can't stand it. I can't fucking stand it, and I feel like it happens far more often than I want it to. I don't have enough friends that it should happen that often. It doesn't make sense to me.
See,
fucking
I feel like
strangers
the
do
internet
that shit.
is a place for that, but ultimately, if you do an actually, and it's in the midst of an argument, I feel like that's the most obnoxious version of that.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just pretentious. Mind you, still minute shit. It's minute shit. Like, you could be arguing about something, and it's like, well, I cleaned all the dishes. Well, actually, you cleaned all the dishes and you missed that fork.
Yeah.
Bitch, I'm a fork you. What the are you kidding me right now?
That's a tough one.
Because, but technically you didn't do all the dishes, did you?
Yeah, that's probably the kind of actually guy.
Now you just derailed the whole argument, and now I'm not defending the fact that I do anything in the house, and mind you, this is just for this scenario, but now you're defending the fucking fork. Like, it's a diversionary tactic. Yeah.
Yes, it is. You know what? I've got a great actually story. Just kidding. Maybe I've told you a story. Did I ever tell you about when my wife and I went to buy a collar for our dog when we got her? Ever tell you that story?
I feel like I know it, but
all right,
it's not fresh enough.
My wife and I needed to get a collar and a leash for our dog, and we went to get a collar and a leash, and now I don't remember the exact argument my wife and I were having, but we were looking at leashes, and she wanted to get a pink leash. Oh, that's what it was. She wanted to get a pink leash, and I was like, no. I was like, I'm not getting a pink leash. I don't want to get a pink leash. Let's get a purple leash. I want to get a pink leash. And I know she's a female dog, but that's stupid. Like, that's a dumb fucking trope. Girls get pink. I don't like the pink leash. And it's stupid. So we're still having this argument when we got up to the register, and we're still kind of bickering about it. And maybe part of it was for the entertainment of the cashier. I don't know. Sometimes you just do that. We're like, it's fucking not
Give
getting
her
her
a story to tell. Actually,
can't even fucking see color. They're colorblind. They see black and white, so it doesn't fucking matter what color the collar is.
Well, actually,
yeah. And the cashier goes, actually, dogs can see shades of yellow and blue. And I said, is pink a fucking shade of yellow and blue? And she said, no. And I said, get out of our fucking conversation.
That's perfect.
It was so irritating. Actually,
This motherfucker thinks they're living pop-up video, giving little facts about a situation they have nothing to do with. Like,
relevant to the argument I'm having? No, you fucking idiot! Jesus Christ!
But I started, like, honestly, because when I start really thinking, because it's irrelevant. I know it's irrelevant information. I'm just thinking, is it because I have too much information in my head, or is it because I'm autistic?
It's okay.
Actually, if you are autistic, like,
I don't care if you're giving me extra information. That's cool. It's distasteful and disdainful way to use an actually. But
yeah,
it's the same thing. Again, it's when you're just giving me bullshit information to, I guess, to make yourself seem like you know more shit.
it's a superiority thing as
Yeah.
opposed to a more knowledgeable thing. Because
Right.
being more knowledgeable doesn't mean that you're superior to somebody. But acting more superior than somebody is being more superior. Like,
pick up a bunch of bullshit and babble, and then you put it into the right words. You're right. It's a superiority thing where you're using your actuallys to feel superior to someone else or to demonstrate your superiority. Oh my god, it drives me so fucking crazy. And I'm an asshole about shit like that, so I tend to get confrontational about it, and it ends up not being a good situation.
is it? Like, that has nothing to do with this argument. I mean, there's nothing.
Worms turn dirt into fertilizer now? Like, what other dumb fucking information that isn't going to help me in any fucking way do you have? What else you got for me? You want to tell me how babies are made? You want to tell me what the process of an abortion is? I'm just going to go on a baby
My God. I mean, those are illegal.
You want to tell me about breastfeeding? Actually, in 38 states, it's now illegal. I don't know what the number is. I hope it's not 38.
And it's actually called mammary sustenance.
Yeah, that shit's annoying. I don't think I do it in that way, but I do think I sometimes use it as a diversionary thing. I definitely do that. Particularly,
I like how you get so introverted about it. And like, as you talk, you start really thinking, like,
well, once you brought it up,
do I do? Like,
once you brought it up, I definitely do that, especially with my wife. We've talked about this. I don't fight. It's got to be very irritating. I refuse to have a full-fledged, like, yelling at each other fight with anybody. I will argue. Yeah. I will have a debate. I will have discussion, because it's not. I guess it does have a use case. I mean, it gets frustration out, gets some anger out, helps you release some of that pressure. But to me, it's completely pointless.
Yeah. And nothing gets done. Nope.
Logical argument to make, I'll resort to some bullshit actually thing like that. Hey,
it's really funny.
I did all the cleaning in the house this week. Actually, I put a shelf up on Wednesday. That kind of dumb bullshit. She's gonna hear this and she's gonna be like, yup, you fucking do that.
I'll make sure to ask her and hear what she has to say about it. Which is really funny that you mentioned that, because one rule I have as an adult, for anybody who, like, I know I rail against people saying, like, this is how you should treat me. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'll give a pass to everybody for this one in my personal life. And my one rule is, do not yell at me. That goes for anybody.
No, I agree.
Just don't fucking yell at me, because I'm an adult and you're an adult. I got into a car accident once, purely my fault. I was stressed out. I backed up. I bumped into this car. Mind you, I didn't crash into it. I literally was slowly backing up, and
You gave it a love tap.
as he was moving up. Yeah, as he was moving up in the because it was a parking lot. It was a really busy parking lot, and it was on a slant on a hill, and I wasn't familiar with the parking lot, and I was like 2 hours away from home.
Oh, I think
didn't know.
I think you told me this
extremely
part.
tired, so I told the story, and I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but I bumped into him, and my one thing was, the dude was trying to, but I'm not fighting with you. I'm an adult. I'll admit that I was wrong, but don't fucking yell at me.
Yeah,
and I approach every situation like that.
Well, like I said, it does nothing to resolve the conflict. It does absolutely nothing. It does nothing to make your point. All it does is make the other person less willing to talk to you, less willing to understand your point of view, and less willing to try to put themselves in your shoes. I guess those are the same thing. It never has any benefit.
There's no empathy.
Yeah, it never has any benefit. And that's like I said, that's my rule too. I will not get into a fight with someone screaming and yelling match. It just doesn't work. I don't think I can't remember ever, maybe when I was a kid, I'll raise my voice to a level, if you're not listening to me, to be like, hey, listen to what I am saying.
Yeah.
But not
no, but even then, screaming. Like, I'm not saying you be calm. I'm not saying you're not allowed to be angry. That makes sense.
Oh, of course.
But yelling, you can yell. Don't yell at me. And I will consider being hostile towards me as fucking yelling. Yeah. Especially if I definitely didn't do anything to warrant it. If I'm not headlocking you or punching your property or yourself, don't bring that shit to me because you want to feel tough. And I consider actually tactic as part of that, because now you're being a dickhead because you want to be.
It's very
not because you want to fix the problem or the interaction that we're having. Not because you don't want to be in. I get it. You might have had a rough day. Who knows? Guess what? And my contribution to it could have been small, could have been minute. Guess what? We could have turned it around. But instead, you decided that I was going to be the target of your bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm not having that. I'm absolutely not. So, actually, you need to take that shit back a few notches. That kind of feel, because it's just, you're not going to get anything done. Oh, great, you want to fight me now. Guess what? Now you're going to risk your own health because you want to fight me.
Yeah.
Over something I'm apologetic for, or I'm like being kind for.
Just the idea of resorting to fighting as a 40-year-old man is fucking ridiculous. Any adult that wants to resort to a physical fist fight outside of a fucking MMA octagon is the dumbest shit ever. I mean,
this is why I don't like teenagers.
That's a whole nother level. I mean, yelling,
teenagers and young adults,
yelling and screaming at each other is one thing, but if you're to the point where you want to physically fight someone, you have leapt into the realm of complete fucking stupidity to me. Like, it's just a whole other level.
Nothing is sadder or funnier than watching old people fight.
Old people fist fight.
Like you've seen like the videos of like old Italian officials. They're in their suits and they're like belly level like pants with suspenders. Just like one grabs the other and they start like trying to whack each other, but their joints are like on like times 2 delay.
Yeah,
and they're just trying to like whack at each other and hit each other. I'm like, I get it, you're mad, but you don't got it anymore. You don't have it.
No, it's just you're making yourself look even worse than you already are.
And you're gonna feel horrible tomorrow.
Everything's gonna hurt.
It's just everything.
Even the parts you didn't use, even the parts that didn't get hurt, are gonna hurt. Because
whatever the other person damaged you for, imagine the damage you're doing to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if I even attempted to fight someone, my whole body would probably just give out on me and give up. I wouldn't give up. My body would. I'd just fall down. My body would go, nope, not doing this. Fight's over.
If I can keep up working with our mutual friend, no, I'm gonna
You're not allowed.
You're not allowing me
You're
to.
not allowed. No, it's not fair. You're not allowed to get in shape.
If that, and I keep up with the swimming this summer, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take up either MMA or boxing, or just give
Ooh.
up and start doing taekwondo.
No, dude, we should
Or
both
doing
take up
taekwondo.
boxing and just beat each other. That would be fun.
I was trying to get an old man's fight club.
We should do that. Not MMA,
Where-
because like I don't have the body, I don't have the flexibility in the. But I can stand
You
there
don't
and
really
punch.
need the flexibility; you need the endurance.
Yeah, I don't have that either.
When I
but
did combatives in the army, it was all about like your endurance. At least the first level of it.
I've watched so much MMA in the last couple months now because I really have started getting the UFC, and I mean, when I first heard about it, even 30 years ago when it started, I was just like, this is just dumb. It's just people fighting each other. And then once I started watching it, I realized how much
so technical,
how many technical aspects there is. And yeah, the amount they talk about endurance and cardio, and watching matches, and you watch a guy just unload in the first round, and it's only 5 minutes. It's only 5 minutes, and he unloads, and then the next round, it's the next 5 minutes, and the dude can't barely walk. And you're like, oh shit. Like these are guys in,
and these guys are
condition.
in shape.
Yeah, these are guys in really, really fucking good shape.
Like,
and they have
you
to
don't
really
know
manage.
how short you can't. You know what? If I had the money, I would get a VR headset and do VR boxing, because that will prove to you how long these rounds feel.
Dude, Wii boxing.
Because you would be you would get exhausted.
Did you ever play Wii boxing when that shit came out?
Yes, it did.
Dude,
but I mean, that was
it was
archaic.
still fucking tiring, dude. You'd stand there punching your hands.
It was fucking exhausting.
I bought if you're gonna work out, then I gotta do something. I bought the Nintendo Switch Fit Adventures thing months ago.
I've been wanting to play that.
I got that months ago. So I got the ring, and it was because I was like, I need to do some form of exercise. Maybe if I gamify it, I'll actually do it. And it's a cool game. Like you use the ring and you do different exercises with the ring, whether it's, stretching, like you can use it with your legs, you can use it with your hands. It's basically an endurance band. Like you could push it in or you can pull it out. And they have all these cool games you can do with it. And then obviously you can, the Wiimote, the Switch remotes or motion sensors. So you can have one on your legs.
Yeah, you hook it onto the thing.
Yeah. So if you have to jump or move your legs, it can measure that too. I should take that out and start trying to do it this summer. Because I would probably actually do that if I started doing it, because I would be gamifying it and turning it into something that I can enjoy rather than just endure.
That's really what it is. I keep getting these reality checks of how out of shape I am in comparison to the way I was, God, almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm just like, God, man, I didn't notice. I just went into pure dad mode.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to lose
happens.
weight. I'm just trying to live longer.
That's kind of where I am too.
I want to lose the visceral fat, but I don't want to I don't care about being skinny. I don't care about that anymore.
Yeah,
I have my 2 kids. I'm done.
I'm not looking to be fucking jacked or ripped or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'd like my pulse not to be 120 beats per minute when I'm sitting down.
Yeah. I have all these injuries. I need something to compensate for the injuries that I have.
Dude, my pulse is so weird. I've always had a high pulse. Even when I was younger, I remember trying to go to give blood at 17 or 18 or whatever. Maybe it's 18 when you're allowed to start. And the first time I went there, I sat there and they said, are you super anxious? And it's like, no, I'm fine. Okay. I mean, are you worried? No, I'm fine. Yeah. Well, your pulse is really, really high. It's like, no, I'm fine. And that's every time I go to the doctor. And every time I've ever gone, they check my pulse and they're like, are you upset? I mean, are you anxious about the appointment? No, I'm fine. I just have a high pulse. But then my if I've worn my heart rate tracker at night, my pulse drops to nothing at night. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's so weird. It's goes from 120 beats per minute during the day to just 40 at night.
Resting heart rate.
It's so weird. It's so weird that it drops like that. So I look at that and think that maybe it's saving my life a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's the same. I agree with you. It's the same thing. I'd like to be here a little longer. If I can.
That's my whole thing. And watching our mutual friend, how much weight he lost and how in shape he is. The only thing I still have from my army days are are I think the I forget which muscle it's called. The ones that are attached to your neck. I can't remember the name of them. We're gonna call them lats, but that's the muscle behind your back.
Dude, you're asking the wrong person.
But like I gained that because of all the goddamn push-ups and carrying stuff we had to do. So I'm gonna just do a lot of like I'm gonna have a book bag that I'm gonna fill with stuff and carry it around with me around the house.
Just when you're just walking around. Smart.
Yeah, just carry it around the house. Because I need to do it because my endurance is shit.
Yeah, mine is too. I mean, I get winded going up the fucking stairs, so.
Luckily, I don't have that yet.
I'd like to start. I've said this a million times too. I'd like to start just taking walks as well. Just simple walks.
Need the time.
Just down
Once
my
the
road.
kids start going back to school.
Well, but I bring the kids with me. Just walk down the road. Walk.
I don't trust mine.
Yeah,
I trust my son, but unless he gets carried away. But my daughter, no.
Diet too. I mean, we were talking about this the other day when we were hanging out.
Oh, just eating right.
Just eating better.
That's not gonna happen. It's just not in this house.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do when it's
comfort
not
food, baby.
Just you. It is. It's hard to and be multiple reasons. One, when cooking's being done, it's being done for a whole family, so it's hard to just single out one person. And like we were talking about, you're gonna have stuff in the house for the kids that's not good for you, and you're gonna. It's there.
All you need is self-control, and you'll be able to lose weight by eating healthy.
Actually, go fuck yourself. I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's see how it goes. I mean, this is we're in the fairly early July, and we'll see. I'm sure you'll keep it up because you've got somebody that's going to come and beat you into submission and make you do it. But let's see if I could start trying to do even my Ring Fit adventure game for like an hour a day, half hour a day. I don't know. It's got like it's all programmed in. Like it's all in there. The workout program is in there. You don't even have to. So
yeah, I gotta get back into it. Luckily, I can start feeling I can't feel my hands, but I can definitely feel my forearms again.
Good. So. Oh, maybe you can pick things up later. Now when you jerk off later, it won't feel like a stranger.
Jesus.
Classic. Are we done? Are we done for today?
You put in a jerk off joke. Yeah, I think we're done now.
I mean, we usually end with a poop
we either
joke.
have a jerk off or shit joke.
We didn't do any positive affirmation today.
Oh shit, that's a thing we do now.
I want it to be a thing. In fact, I got a whole jingle in my head, like ready to. Well, not ready to go. I mean, I got to figure out how to record it, but I got a jingle in my head. You're a great dad, great fucking dad.
Thank you. You know what?
Like
I admire your determination.
Hey, let's be clear. If we're talking about my determination involving Ring Fit adventure, it might not be so great. Depends on what it is.
You're a guy that at least in my opinion, I feel like you're a guy that gets shit done. I always find myself having a hard time starting anything.
I'll take it. It depends on what it is, but I'll take it. All right, guys. I guess that's the podcast for today. Hey, you know what? Here's what I want to say. I know people are listening because I can see the stats. Send us some emails. You can go to the website, atiwihy.com and that is why.com. You can email us at podcast@atiwihy.com or podcast@and that is why.com. Man, that's annoying. I'm not going to do that every time. List them both out.
I tuned out.
Send us some fucking emails. Let us know. I mean, we talk about a lot of crazy, weird shit on this podcast. I'm sure somebody's got some opinions, right? Somebody's got to have an opinion. Send us some mail. Tell us what you think. If you've got something you think we should talk about on the show, let us know. That would be awesome. But yeah, I guess that's it. And thanks for listening. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.